doesn't work here.
Julie, it says it looks like the stream was deleted on Facebook.
What does that mean? On Run and Gun?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. We're just making sure we're live here on all of our channels.
I don't understand what that means. But I can share it? I know it's not the same.
Yeah. So if you're watching, pop in the comments and tell us which page you're on so we can see if it's working, because on our end it's saying that Julie's is not on Run and Gun. So we just want to make sure people can see it. Hello, Kevin, Creole, Michael King. So while we're doing that, we'll go ahead and get our show started here. I'm Ashley from Last Call Catfishing.
I'm Julie from Run and Gun Catfishing, and today we have
Micka Burkhart from, I guess, Tennessee.
We're so excited to have you on.
I appreciate y'all having me. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so I was kind of getting out of practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into fishing, if you've done it your whole life. Just kind of give them your backstory.
Yeah, no, I've been fishing since far back as I can remember. Definitely since as back as I could, when I was able to walk. But no, I've been fishing for pretty much my whole life. It's been a passion that turned into an obsession to now it's a profession. So it's been quite the ride. Of course, you know, I don't know if there's too many people that don't know what happened, but I caught the last 2 Tennessee state records, blue cats here. And that's just kind of, you know, propelled or directed me into what I do today. And that's fish full time. I love it because it's my coping mechanism. Plus it's just fun, you know, it's just absolute fun. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. The reason why I do what I do.
Awesome.
You're living a lot of people's dream, be able to fish every day.
Well, but I do have to throw this caveat in there, though. It would have never happened if it wasn't for my wife. I'd still be working a 9-to-5 job if it wasn't for her. That's a fact.
Well, there you go. Props to all those fishing wives out there.
I'm telling you, she, you know, because I had a good job making real good money. Then, you know, compared to what I'm making now, I took about a $3,000 pay cut a year or a month. And she's like, I got you. You're good. So yes,
Aww.
Yeah. Shout out
awesome.
to you know those that do that, because that's I mean, granted, I'm making that back up now, but at the beginning it was kind of like, you know, it just, you know, you don't know what to do, because me, you know, I've always, like, because she was a stay-at-home mom for many years, and so I was the one that provided for the family. So it's kind of like roles reverse now. So
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. You guys make a good team.
We got other shout outs to wives here in the chat too. So Twisted Fishing.
So if anybody has questions for Micka, I'm sure he'll be glad to answer them. So just pop them down in the comments below. You want to tell us the story about when you caught your big fish? The most recent one? I know you did it twice.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I can, but it's not too much. Most people don't know, but it was just so since I'll start off by saying this. So when I caught the state record the first time in that same area, you know, I never got to fish that area for like better part of 6 months, I'll say, because there were so many people fishing there, and the times that I would make that run up there to go fish it, there'd be somebody sitting there. So I just kind of like, well, I need to find new spots, need to find new places, stuff like that. So that's what I've done. But I took a random Tuesday where I just like, well, let me go try it. And I went up there and I found that there was nobody there. Then that's obviously, you know, but what a lot of people don't know is prior to me catching that fish out of the same stretch, I'm going to say 300-yard stretch of river, I hooked into about a 50-something beside the boat that I lost, and he just come and pinned. You know, it happens. but I caught a 69 and a 72 prior to that 122 out of the same stretch. So it's a pretty good spot. There's been some other big fish caught in there from by other people also since then, but yeah, man, it was something else. That video is still live on Facebook, and I get criticized a whole lot about how I get excited, and so I say this is a big fish or it's a good fish, or and I say it probably a million times. So I get criticized for that, which it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, but then I get to thinking, it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, how many state records you hold, I guess, but.
Right.
But it's just funny because if I look back at, like, if I rewatch the video, I'm like, God, what an idiot. That's what I sound like. But I'm just like, I guess apparently, I didn't know it at the time, but that was raw footage. You know what I mean? I wasn't a whole lot of that edited out except for condensed for YouTube purposes. So,
Yeah.
but no, it was a surreal day for sure. Especially, I guess the biggest thing would be out of it all was everybody that come to help. That was the biggest thing. I never saw, a community come together so fast for anything else, other than I would assume a disaster would probably be, but for that there, man, it was, I couldn't believe the amount of people that just popped out of the woodwork to help out, So that was kind of cool to see.
That's awesome.
So we have our first question about the boat. How you liking your new boat?
I absolutely love it. Going from smaller John boats to a bigger John boat to the last boat that I had, I've taken this boat to places that, like, and I thought it would be being a bigger boat. If a lot of you don't know, we got the G3 2100, and I thought that being a bigger boat like that I wouldn't be able to take it back into like skinny water, or, it would. I don't know. I've been on several different boats, just trying to help my decision when I was buying this one. But I dare say it treads shallow water better than the last boat that I had, and it was a flat bottom. So that's kind of neat to know. But no, I absolutely love it. The ride's great. The room's awesome. I just camped on it last night. Absolutely love that. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are nice boats. That's what we have too, is a G320 Sportsman 2100. Yeah. We've been happy with it.
Yeah, because I didn't want the Pro Cats and like that, because it took, rod boxes took up room stuff. So I wanted the big wide open thing. So it was either that or a Protege. And of course, Spencer, he has a Protege, and we fished out of it. And it's not terrible, it's not bad. It's just not exactly what I wanted. So, and so far, this 2100 is perfect.
Awesome. Oh, okay. So Kelly said she is, sorry not to interrupt, that she is on Run and Guns. So maybe it is that I shared from where I shared it.
I deleted it and then re-linked it. So hopefully that.
Yay. Awesome. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah. Good deal.
So let's talk a little bit about conservation. That is why we started this. Commercial fishing in our area, particularly, and when I say that, is the Ohio River, gets hit really hard. The Meadow pool that we fish, you see them out all the time. Do you see them much down there where you're at, Micka?
We very, very, very few. Now we do have commercial fishermen that are out all the time, but they're chasing Asian carp for the most part. Okay, so I know you brought something up about my seminar that I did at last CatCon, where I say that it takes the local people itself to try to police some of this stuff that we can, or what we can anyway. So I've made it a point. There's, I think, 3, possibly 4, like fish processing places close to me. So I've made it a point to know all of them. I've also made it a point to know all the fishermen, the commercial guys that go out. And I just made it a point to know all them people. So we're kind of on we know each other basis, so to speak. Like, we don't hang out and drink beers on the weekend or anything like that. But if I see them on the water, I'll wave, or they'll wave back. So we all have kind of like a mutual understanding of what's going on. what you're there to do, as long as it's not for nefarious reasons. You know what I mean? So if you've got a license to catch XYZ, fine, catch it. But outside of that, but my point being for the whole deal was, yes, we do see a lot of commercial fishermen, but there's not many that I don't know. And if there is somebody I don't know, we get acquainted pretty quick. You know what I mean? So it's kind of neat. I guess basically it's because of my position in the industry now. I get a little bit more like people reach out a little bit more to let me know things locally around here. So it really helps to kind of keep an understanding on that. So, but like I said, then I've only ever had one incident where I dealt with. I don't know if they were pay Lakers. I have no idea if they were pay Lakers or not, but they were definitely over the legal limit of what they were supposed to have. So with live tanks. So, I mean, we could put, 2 and 2 together. So, but that's the only time that I've had an issue with it. So around here, we all kind of more or less, I guess, police ourselves, in a manner to where we don't really have it. I'm not saying we never will. I'm sure we will. I'm sure I'm gonna run into something else, later on down the road, because them guys are gonna have to expand because the Ohio's getting dry. I mean, a lot of places around there, they're draining the crap out of them with them good fish, and they're gonna have to expand. So, I mean, all they got to do is hop on any of my videos and see what's out there. So that's kind of like that's and the reason why I make it a point to know this stuff. It's because that is definitely my burden to bear. If anything happens out here, for the most part, it's going to be, I'm going to feel that it's going to be 100% my fault, because of my videos and, stuff like that. And so I try to do my due diligence of getting ahead of the game and make sure we don't have that problem. Not saying we won't, but at least I'll know beforehand if we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we did take that away from your seminar, get to know your ODNR, your Kentucky DNR guys. And here, I know a lot of them feel like it's been an ongoing battle and they don't get heard, but they've all been pretty responsive to Julie and I when we've reached out to them with any questions or anything. So hopefully eventually.
And that's what you got to, but that's what you got to do though. I mean, you got to stay involved. Like, you can't just complain and then do nothing. Right. So you got to continuously be involved. Like, I'm always involved. Like, my local game wardens here, if I see them at the gas station, I'll swing on by and talk to them. You know what I mean? Like, we have a fishery officer that every time I'm out there, well, he didn't do it yesterday, but every time I'm out there, he always stops and asks me, how's the fishing going? All that stuff. It's just, but it's cool. It's like what you guys are doing. You have to do that. I mean, as conservationists, I'll just say that. I don't even fisherman. I'm just saying conservationists. I mean, you can be a hunter, trapper. It doesn't matter what you do. You have to, you have to maintain that link, because I know here in my area, it's a huge area that they got to cover. It's 2 game wardens, right? So I'm sure y'all have the same thing where you're at. You've got, they're going to take over a third of the state, and it ain't but 2 people. Like, man, they can't be in every nook, cranny, creek, whatever, trying to find, somebody doing something illegal,
Right.
So that's kind of, like what you were saying, you just got to stay involved. Everybody has to stay involved. It's the only way either gets fixed or it doesn't get any worse. We'll just say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. There was a comment here I wanted to pop up here so I don't lose it. Korea wants to know, Micah, in your opinion, do you think big fish are solitary, or do you find fish mixed in with smaller fish?
Okay, good. Very good question. Yes. So for the most part, yes. I do believe that big fish most of the year are solitary for sure. The only exception would be pre-spawn and post-spawn, because everything is wanting to do the same thing at the same time, which whether it be feed or spawn, that's what they're trying to do. And so you will have, like, I've several occasions where I've caught, we'll just say pre-spawn, that I've caught, we'll say 20 or 30, 10 to, 12 pounders and in the exact same spot. But I've also at the same time pulled in 2 to 3 fish that were over 40 pounds. just because they're all trying to do the same thing at the same time. Now, rest of the year, yeah, they're that's why I always say, if you catch a big fish out of a certain spot, well, move to the next one because that's the only one that's there.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Good question.
Do you use mostly skipjack down there, or do you use shad too?
I did. Well, I use pretty much everything because here in Tennessee we could use everything. I guess now this year they took crappie off the table, which I'll have to look into that a little bit more. But yeah, I use everything here. I use shad quite a bit more this year, just for the simple fact that we had, of course, y'all know we had all that rain. What was it, about 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
So the river was up high, muddy, so you were not catching skipjack or white bass or even bluegill for that matter. So all you could really do is catch a net shad. But yeah, there's a rotation of baits that I run through just because I have a lot more available to me. But yeah, I use skipjack. Usually use skipjack over the early winter months, shad late winter months, and then I roll right into like bluegill, white bass, yellow bass, stuff like that for pretty much the rest of the year until we get back to the early winter.
What's your go-to for chasing catfish? Like, what's your favorite way to catch the catfish? You like bumping, pulling boards, anchoring?
Well, pulling boards is a really good favorite, but my ultimate is sitting up in front of a brush pile or suspending over a brush pile and catching a big one out of that way. That's my ultimate favorite because you're that's anchored up or whatever.
That's literally what the question was. Sorry,
yeah.
I didn't even see that. It was literally my. That's funny. We were on the same. I did not see that. I wasn't even paying attention.
It's just an awesome bite. You guys know that. It's just an awesome bite to have especially a suspended rod, just take off. That's just an awesome bite. Plus, like I said, setting up in front of what is a structure of whatever you deem structure that day. Just having that rod just fold over, and you get the same thing with dragging too, but it's just, I don't know. It's just something about picking out or pinpointing a spot and then having it pay off. I think that's more the nostalgia of that for me, because trust me, I get it wrong a lot. I sit there and I just watch rods sit there, and then I come across the right spot where it just happens, and I get one that just hammers it. It's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, nice.
Do you use a certain bait at certain water temperatures?
Yes, that's why I'm saying it. Because usually skipjack about early winter. We'll say, let me go into. I'll go into, because water temps falling is different than water temps rising. So as water temps fall, I'll move more to the skipjacks. We'll say I'm going to give you a broad area, but I'm going to say probably 65 to 55 degrees is when I'll start looking at using skipjack a lot. Anything lower than 55 degrees, we'll say closer to 50 to the 40s to sometimes even the high 30s. It's strictly shad to that point. And then once we start seeing the water rise, now when I get back into the water temps, get back into the 61, 62, just somewhere over 60. That's when I'm, white bass, bluegill, yellow bass. Used to be crappie. I got to find out more about that, and then I'll run that, that and Asian carp pretty much the rest of the year till we'll say late fall, early winter, because the water warming up is different. It's a different bite than the water cooling off, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It sure does.
Do you have a favorite place to fish? Like, I know you fish a lot on the Tennessee River close to home, but have you been anywhere else that you is like,
I'll tell you what,
this is cool?
I can't remember the name of the river, but that river that me and Spencer fished in Florida, I wish I could remember the name of it. It was something whatever, Ola, I'm sure it was on the end of it. But that was actually an awesome place to fish. We didn't catch very many fish, but just how it sets up is awesome. It's a big river, really, really, really small. You know what I mean? So you take all the aspects of a big river, and then you just narrow it down to 100 yards wide, and it was just so awesome to fish because where like on a big river, to try to find a different condition or a different area, you're running, sometimes I will say hundreds of yards, if not half mile. Where that river, you just go across, and then you got a whole different scenario, and that made it so much more fun to fish because you spent more time fishing than you did, trying to replicate the same area. But the only way you can do it is if you run 2 miles, to a different spot. So that was kind of cool. That was actually a really nice place to fish.
Do you have any places that are on your bucket list to go fishing?
Yes. I got to get to Santee at some point. I got to hit a couple of lakes there in Texas at some point. I got to hit Kerr Lake at some point. What's the other one? I fished the Mississippi, but I got to fish different spots of the Mississippi, which we're going to do that later on this year, I think in July.
You going to Megabucks?
Yeah. Me and Spence will be there for that. And then, of course, the Missouri River. Missouri River, of all things, I've never fished the Missouri River, so definitely got to get out there and do that.
Twisted Fishing said, was it the Apalachicola? I don't know how to say that. River.
Yeah. It sounds right. It has an Ola at the end of it. Sounds great.
Must be the
one. That's funny. We fished Kerr Lake. We went out for the ice bowl this year. And,
I didn't make it this year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a spare of the moment kind of thing. We weren't going to go, then we were going to go, and then we went. When we left, it was like -15 here, and Jess was like, "This is dumb. What are we doing?" And we went out there, and Anthony took us out around because he fishes there a lot, and he showed us some spots, and then we ended up coming in 6th place, and he's like, "Never fished here before. Kind of kicked my butt."
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's a great job there. I'd have been after seeing all the pictures and stuff like that, I'd just been a little baby probably hanging out next to the heater all day.
We definitely have the heater going. Yep.
I get out in the cold, like I fish like here this past year, of course, across the country, we had pretty cold temps this year. And I took, because Spencer, even though he's from Florida or Iowa, he don't do cold. So when he came to visit me to go fish, it was like 16 degrees. He was like, "Man, it's cold." Like, yeah, I know, but fish are still biting, man. But we didn't have the ice and stuff they had there at the ice bowl. That was a different thing. But it was cold.
Yeah, we thought that was like normal, like the ice bowl. We figured, it's because there's always ice on the river, and they're like, "No, this
it's in the name.
This isn't normal." They're like busting up spots to release the fish in.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Yeah, I'm saddened but glad I missed that one.
Yeah, it definitely looked a little cold for me.
Yeah, way cold for me for sure.
Yeah.
Creole Catfishing, Jeremy says that he will be at the Megabucks. Good luck. That's a good tournament to hit.
Yeah.
It's an expensive one, but it's a good time.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, we're all paid up on everything. We got a place to stay. We got the entry fee done already, so we're good to go on that. Just need to get down there and fish it.
Are you doing any other big tournaments this year? Do you do any other Megabucks or anything?
We were going to do the Sea Arc owners tournament, but Spencer found a buyer for his boat sooner rather than later, so that crossed that one out. But outside of that, I think we're probably just going to hit a couple more like Twisted Cat tournaments this year. Other than that, it'll be some local stuff for me. It not a whole lot. I don't get into a whole lot of tournament fishing. Of course, I'll never go chase points or nothing like that. I just like fishing certain areas, and I just like the tournament aspect, every now and again. I don't. Off the top of my head at this point, no, I don't have other than the Megabucks schedule for sure. Well, no, I got to come up there and fish y'all's tournament.
Yes.
Yeah,
Micah is
yeah,
coming to our veterans
yeah,
event in October. So that's a big surprise. We haven't told anybody yet. We were waiting for you to confirm it. But yep, we're super excited. And I
yeah,
know there are some local guys here that are watching. So if Doug
yeah. No,
and all of you
I
are
will
on
be up
here,
there because, and I'm going to be completely honest with you too, or all y'all. I had a lot of good plans going, this year and stuff like that. But I'm going to tell you what, this boat has ran me into some money, right? But I look at it this way, I have always sat back, and I'm sure all of us have done this at one point, but we've always sat back, or I've always sat back and be like, well, I want this, but this will do. Well, I need that, but this will be okay, But when me and my wife were talking about this boat, I was kind of like, I started doing the same thing. I'm like, well, yeah, but all right, this will work fine, this goes back to how much she pushes me to do this. She was like, if you want it, get it, just get it. We'll figure it out later. Things like that, because she deals with all the money. So I'm sure she's not telling me everything, but we were able to get it. But of course, all that initial cost. I'm like, God, how am I gonna do these things that I want to do? And then she's like, just fine, whatever, get it. We'll figure it out. So we were talking about your tournament, and I'm like, man, I just, I told her, so I just don't know, I got the gas, stuff. And she's like, I think you should go. It's like, okay, I mean, I'll go if you think I could go. She's like, no, you can go. I think you should go. Like, okay, I guess I'm going.
is she coming with you?
She's not gonna be able to make that one. No, that time she has to work, so she's not gonna be able to make it. I wish she would, but no, it's gonna be me coming up there.
Well, we'll definitely get her a shirt, and she's a veteran as well.
I'm sure she'd appreciate that for sure.
Yep, we appreciate you both. So,
Actually, just real quick, I wanted to see. Now, don't be switching my comments, ma'am. Do you have a way or way to register for it? Because there's been some questions about it.
Yeah, so you can go to either, I believe it's on our last call page, or the Operation Vets with Nets Ohio chapter page. The link is in there, and I'll be sure to share it out again after our podcast. But you can go to the www.operationvetswithnets.org and click on events, and it's the Ohio River Boots on the Water event. So we definitely need captains. And now that we know this guy's coming, I hope that encourages a few others to get registered, because we are up to, I think, 35 veterans now, and it's only
So I'm going to ask you, because I don't know. I've never fished one. What takes place? It's like...
Yeah, the way that our event works, last year was our first one. So just a little backstory. We met Anthony in Vicksburg last year. We had followed him for a long time. And we met him actually in Vicksburg at Mega Bucks. And afterwards, he made a post that they were looking for captains in all of the states around Ohio, but not here. So I was like, why do you suppose that is? Jess was like, I don't know. You'd have to ask Anthony. So I did. And he's like, well, we don't have anybody to kind of head it up there. And he's like, who would be great at that? So he made a call to Rich Segura, the founder. And by the end of that day, we had our first event planned, and we planned it in 8 weeks. Last year we had 41 veterans and 40 boats. So it worked out perfect, because the one family had a father-son veteran team. Mm-hmm. Charlie actually took them out for us. And so they came in, they got registered that morning, and then they go fishing from 8 to 4. This year we're doing things a little different. We're not pairing that morning. We're going to do a meet and greet the night before. So you guys can choose. There's several ramps in that area. So that way it's not as congested in the morning and just hectic. And you can kind of just get to know each other a little bit, since you're going to go spend 8 hours on the boat together.
Right.
So go fish for 8 hours. And when you come back, the boat ramp that we're holding the event at, we have a hog roast provided by the Manchester Veterans Club. Last year we had tons of food provided by family members of the guys fishing, the veterans. We have tons of giveaways. We have giveaways for captains. We have giveaways for our veterans. And I think there's a few other surprise things that we're going to be having given away, but I'm not going to mention them until we have them in hand. So it'll be an amazing day. Yeah, that's right. I think it's going to be a great day. Like I said, last year we had 41, and we're looking to grow that this year. So
okay. Well, like I said, I'll definitely be there, and whoever I get paired with, just prepare for a mediocre day.
Ashley, what does someone have to be a captain?
The only requirement to be a captain is that you have to have liability insurance on your boat.
Just liability?
Huh?
Wow.
Yep.
Just liability?
Yep. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Jess made the comment to you. He's right about owning 2 boats because we currently are doing the same.
Right.
Let's see. Dave Arnold is on here. Have you ever watched somebody's YouTube channel and think, I could sit on a boat for 12 hours with this guy? This one's that for me.
Man, we have an awesome time. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but I take several people fishing, definitely off camera, no social media, stuff like that. It's typically local veterans here. Typically, and I take some, I got some friends that I work with at the local VA office here, and they pair me up with people, and we go out, and it's a lot of fun. I like that. Them guys, and I love the guys that have never like catfished before, and even the ones that never even fished before. So I give them a crash course. Now, keep in mind, we're all military mentality, so I will give you instructions once. Not really, but it's just kind of how we think. I'll give you the instructions. I'll show you the right way. So do it from there, then on out. But anyway, we have a lot of fun. And when we're all done, it's kind of like, golly, you were kind of hard on me at first. Well, no, I wasn't. I said, because at the end of the day, you were having a great time, weren't you? It's like, well, yeah, I was. So you caught the only catfish you ever caught, or you caught your PB, or, whatever the case may have been at the time. But we have a lot of fun because I like to joke. I just like to have fun. Because fishing, if you can't make fishing fun, then you shouldn't do it. That's just how it is. I don't care if it's a tournament. I don't care if it's a, do what I do or, just a weekend to get out. It's got to be fun. Well, I guess anything you do's got to be fun. But sadly enough, sometimes work ain't fun. But you can make the rest of it fun for sure.
Yeah, their excitement. That's what we love. Like you said, especially the ones that have never done it before. Yeah. And like the first vet we took out, his big fish he caught that day was like 35 pounds. And it was so fun just watching him reel it in.
Yeah. Well, I go not even, let's see, I guess it's been a little, it's been about a month and a half ago, actually, was the last guy that I took out. Cause just, the river's just been so terrible. But his biggest, he had caught 1 catfish. Now he's from Pennsylvania, I think. And I think he got channel cats there quite a bit or something like. Anyway, he didn't fish. He just fished from the bank. Probably fished like a small local pond or something. But caught a 7-pound catfish. He couldn't remember what it was, whatever. So I carried him out. He ended up hanging a 52, and he had no idea what he was hooked into. Like he swore it was like a log or a rock or something. I was like, no, that's a fish. And he looks at me and he says, "Can you help me?" I was like, "What do you want me to do?" So the whole time we're just kind of going back and forth, just having I'm having a blast, and he's all serious. Like, what do I do with this thing? Is it real? But once he got it in, he had me take a bunch of pictures for him. But he still calls me today or messages me on Facebook or something like that. Just like, I tell all the people I know up here about you and stuff. I said, well, I thanks. But the whole point of it being was this was kind of a weird pairing because it was a friend of mine that, he's a veteran too, but he's a friend of mine, and they were actually together. They worked together. One worked for somebody, however it worked out. They worked together in the military. And so he asked me, he said, "Hey man, would you mind? He's coming down to visit, take him out at least one, take him out one day." Cool, I can do that. And just so happened, we only caught 1 fish that day, but it was that fish. So he wants to come back like every chance he gets, and I'm like, well, yes, it's awesome, but I'm busy, So we'll have to schedule a time, and I think I got him coming back sometime like dead of summer. I said that's what's gonna really, really test you is like I think it's like after the MRM tournament, so it'll be July, if not August. He's going to come, and that's when fishing's good. It's good. I mean, don't get me wrong, but the weather is not.
Hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is terrible hot. It gets so humid and just muggy, and but I sit out there like an idiot, trying to catch these fish.
We did that. I know it wasn't hot on Saturday, but we fished a local tournament here on Saturday, and it just was not our day. Not at all.
Yeah, well, you get plenty of those. Lord knows.
Yes.
I know that for a fact.
Yep.
So what modifications are you doing or have you done to your G3? What's your plans for it? Is there anything you're adding?
I think I'm actually pretty much done. I had Wesley Mann make me some them rod holders that go on the side of the console, so those are super, super helpful. We did the storage boxes, which I love them. I mean, because aluminum boat, I don't care which one you get, there's still not enough storage. And so once we built them boxes for that, it was awesome. I mean, I couldn't believe how much stuff that I had in my other boat that I needed in this boat. And now I've got more storage than I need. I guess that's never the case. But I've got more storage than I had. We'll just say that. And I guess I'm pretty much done. I mean, I got all the graphs on it I want. Well, no, I take that back. I got to get an enclosure. That's the last thing I got to get for it.
Yeah. That was a must-have for me and my husband. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, like they're just expensive. Should I just get the top? I said, get the full enclosure. Just spend the money. It will pay for it in the long run. So it was worth it.
Just the time you can, use it, especially if you fish a lot. I'd say if you're every other weekender guy, probably not worth it. But for people that fish all the time, it's definitely worth it. I swore to myself that last year was the last year that I was going to open air in it. So, and that's going to happen. Again, to my point, my wife already, she's already budgeted the money for me to get it done. I think it's going to be like August, September. I'm going to carry it down and get it done. But no, I've been in a few boats that have it on some really cold days, and I'm going to have it.
Yeah, it's worth it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, but I mean, they are expensive. But if you think about it, they are, but they ain't. Because you're getting a custom, fit job for your boat to, whatever. So anything custom comes with a cost, but the average cost is not terrible. So depending, whoever you go to, the average costing ain't terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the selling point for this Sea Arc, because I'm not a cold weather person either. And Jess was like, you're going to be so warm. And it was great when we first got it and we had the heater and stuff in there. But then he learned how much more room he has with the enclosure not up. And I'm like, what happened to my heat?
Well, yes, you will have that issue as well. It's just because it comes in. That's one of the biggest reasons why I like the G3, because it just seems like you got a lot more back deck space. Because so now I run my Bimini top, which is essentially, you think about it, it'll be an enclosure at some point. And I have zero problems casting rods. I have zero problems, with room on that boat. So, but I don't know. I would lose a little room to gain a lot of heat. I would definitely do that. Yeah,
Jess says heat is in the rod.
Girl, you keep clicking dry click.
He's not wrong. I mean, if you hang into a 70, 80 pounder, you warm up real quick.
Yep. You just got to find them. Just looking through the comments to make sure we didn't miss any. I know there's quite a few people on here that are headed down to the Sea Arc tournament this weekend, so we just want to wish you all good luck. Be safe down there.
Absolutely, be safe for sure.
Yeah, with all of these accidents happening on the water, be smart. There's no fish or no amount of money that's worth somebody's life. So please be safe.
How hot was that rod on Saturday, Jesse?
Yeah, Jesse. How hot was it on Saturday? With our 0 fish in the boat.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't mention that I've caught probably over 100 fish in the last 36 hours.
Thanks for that, Micah. Such a great friend.
Freezing cold, he said.
Thankfully, it actually wasn't freezing cold. It was nice out, so we just was what it was. We went back to the ramp early and watched everybody else weigh in their fish.
JT said you have some awesome rods, Micah.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the last one took forever. But I wanted it a very specific way and was not going to be satisfied until it was. And of course, Matt, he was with me on that too, because it's kind of a special deal. Reason why I do it. I don't know. You guys know what I do with that rod as far as like the money that I collect off of it? Do you guys know that?
I don't personally.
Okay, so because I keep wanting to say this and post it on Facebook and stuff like that, but I don't want to make it. I'm not a commercial guy, so I don't know how to sell stuff, and I don't want to put a. I mean, I do have a meaning behind it, but I don't want to do it all the time, if that makes any sense, because it kind of takes away from the. I don't know, whatever I'm doing today. But anyway, so the proceeds or the money I get off that, it's not really proceeds because it's in the contract, but I get $10 off every rod sold. So I take that $10 from each rod, which we have been selling a bunch. So it's been doing a lot of good. I take roughly, depending on what I got going on, I take about 10 to 15% for myself. Out of those sales. All the rest of it, I use it for my veteran trips, or I give it to veterans, or I give it to especially locally here, people in need, stuff like that. So like we got a Piggly Wiggly here, so I go down and I'll buy 8 or 9 $250 grocery cards, right? And so those get distributed out to like our VA office. And then we have kind of like the VA office kind of works close with the not human resource, but dang it.
Like the Job and Family Services?
Yeah, something like that. And of course, my wife, she works for Department of Children's Services for the state of Tennessee. So through all of them avenues, I take that money and I do the best I can with it, because my first rod, that money comes straight to me. But the second rod, because I pushed it a lot more, and I want to do more with it. I always say all the time, I don't need to make no more money than I have to, and right now we're good. So I take that money and I do what I can with it. It's a small part in a big scheme of things, but I do what I can with it.
That's really awesome. Cool that you do that. Thank you for that. Kevin Walters from Monster Cat Catfishing here in Ohio says he sells more of your rods than any other rod.
Heck yeah. Keep doing it, buddy. Yeah, keep doing it. Because like I said, it's not some, I love it. I love it for the fact because it means a lot to me. Just the layout of it, what's behind it, the meaning for me behind it. It means a lot. And the fact that, when people buy it and they post it on Facebook or they send me a message about it, that part of it there is just kind of you take something like that, you just never know what kind of support you'll ever get. You know what I mean? And it's just cool to see the support, and I want everybody to know that it means an absolute bunch to me for y'all to do stuff like that, because really it is. I mean, truly from my heart, it means a lot, and I do so much with it. It may be $10 here, or it may be $20 there, or it may be $1,000. Matter of fact, it was. I ain't gonna say no names, but I'll give you an instance where I paid. There's a veteran he's an older veteran. He's a Vietnam veteran. But anyway, so his grandchild, something happened. The parents didn't do the right thing. So the grandchild had to get placed with him. As a matter of fact, I found this through my wife because of where she works. Well, he's autistic, right? So the kid's autistic and he has to go to a special school. Well, that school required a certain amount of money, just to get the child involved and enrolled and all that stuff. $1,200. I wrote down. I wrote the check, just to do it. I wrote the check. Here you go. This is for so and so, and I walked out. I didn't ask no questions, and I didn't give no answers. And so, turned out the next week, the child was in getting the care that or the stuff that he needed. You know what I mean? And that was all 100% from rod sales. That didn't come out of it wasn't me doing it out of my pocket, which I would have done it anyway. But that's what I'm saying. Those are the type of things that I do with that money. So
that's awesome.
That's
all
awesome.
Because of everybody's support. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we don't do enough for our veterans.
Well, the thing of it is yeah, I mean, I was there. I was on in a lot of days. I'm still on that other side of the fence, but I've lived long enough afterwards, to kind of cross that line to where I can start seeing things from the outside instead of being stuck in the inside, more specifically my head. So now that I've got a chance to step back, I always told myself that I ever got a platform, this is what I want to do. Turns out I get a platform. Now, is this God's divine plan? Could be. I don't know. But I have a platform and I use it for what I can. It may not be nothing to most people. It may be, something small, but it means everything to me. It means everything to me and my family to be able to do. Just if we help one person, awesome. My life's set. But luckily, I've been able to help. I'd say 100 or better people, in one way or another.
Yep. Twisted Fishing said, "You sold me, brother. I'm going to order 6 rods now."
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, but it's kind of a cool deal. I'm glad I've got this opportunity. Now, I'm glad that I'm going to have the opportunity to come down and fish with you guys. That was super heavy on my heart when I was sitting there thinking about finances and stuff like that. So I just want to have a great time with like-minded people, we'll say.
Absolutely. Yep. We're excited to have you, and hopefully we can get you there a day or so early and take you out and show you around.
That would be at least show me where the boat ramps are. That'd be neat.
Yeah, there was a comment on here asking about the boat ramp for that event, and it is called Island Creek Mound Campground and Marina. There isn't actually a marina there. I'm not sure why it's called that, but it's Island Creek Mound Campground in Manchester, Ohio.
Okay.
Do you have a donation account also? I don't know if you.
I don't. No, I don't, because I'm not going to ask people for money. I know I get people all the time they want to donate money all the time, and I'd much rather do it. I would much rather do it this way, because that way they get something in return. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I don't know if that sounds weird, but I don't want to take somebody else's money personally. You know what I'm saying?
No, that makes sense. Plus, if you do that, I think you'd have to do actually set up a nonprofit.
Yeah. So
so that's where you go to Ashley, who does have she's doing things like that. So, you can put them direction of the other.
Yeah. If you already have one set up, please donate for sure. Absolutely. But I know I don't. So
that's good that we have that answer.
Yeah, we do have a donation thing linked. I think it's on our Operation Vets with Nets Ohio chapter, but for our event, and all of that, 100% of that money goes for our event. Like you said, it costs a lot of money to go do this fishing stuff. And last year we had veterans that drove 4 hours one way for this event. And it was very heavy on my heart this year to try to get them places to stay. A lot of the campgrounds are closed down by that point. It's October. Ours is full. They have a lot of seasonal people around. So my goal for this year is to try to get some hotel rooms paid for these veterans. So if that's on your heart to help us with that, we would greatly appreciate it. There's a comment here I was trying to pull up. Looks like Kaufman, Nate, and I will both be adding more camo rods to the boat. Looks like Twisted Fishing is going camo.
Yeah, I may. You said you're going to do like raffles or something like that.
Yep.
I may bring a set of special planer boards or something. I'll bring something. Bring something throwing
That
a
would
pop.
be great. Yep, that would be great. So we just give them. I think last year each vet got 10 raffle tickets, and then when they came back, we had them set up, and they could go around and choose what they wanted to try to win. Because you go to so many tournaments and stuff where like they just call out a number, and this is you get what you get. And I didn't want people to like end up with something that they had no use for, or a gift card or something to someplace they're never going to go. So
yeah, I'll bring some. I'll bring some stuff up. We
greatly appreciate that. We're getting a little education here. Apparently, there was a marina at the lower end of the island, but on the Manchester bank. Didn't know that.
They say there was?
At one time, there was a small marina.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah. So it just everybody knows it at that, so they'll just keep calling it that.
Yep.
It's like they say the town that I live in is called Big Rock, right? Which that's the name of the town. But the only reason why it was named because we had a big rock in the middle of the gas station parking lot, which is now gone. So
that's funny.
But everybody still calls it Big Rock.
Well, we've got about 8 more minutes here. So if anybody's got questions for Micah, be sure to pop them in here. I will say we spend a lot of hours watching you, so I feel like we know you really well. Because every time it pops up with the new notification when we get home that day, we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, don't judge me too bad for this next series of videos coming out next week.
Uh-oh.
Because like as we talk right now, I'm running on 2 hours of sleep in the last 36 hours, and the 2 hours I'm talking about was in 10 to 15 minute increments.
Oh goodness.
So there was some. I will promise you, there are some videography errors that are about to come y'all's way.
It's gonna happen, he says.
So I know we have some other friends on here that do that too, that camp on their boat. So Michael King, if you're still watching, he was telling me that he had an air mattress on his boat, just like you said you wanted to do.
Oh yeah, no, it was. You know what? I got a cot. Man, I let that thing at the house. I just blowed up that air mattress, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. For every 10, 15 minutes, I was able to sleep.
Rich Lips wants to know, what braid do you use?
Okay, so some of you, I don't know if I got to roll down. I do. So this is see if I can get it on camera here, but this is the braid that I use. It's me and Scotty, we got together, or he got together with me, and we came up with a signature series braid, and it's actually really good stuff. I've been using it for a while. Spencer's been using it for a while. I got a couple other people using it because I don't like to promote a whole lot unless, I kind of feel confident in it, because I don't want to, tell somebody something like, oh, it's the greatest thing. Because I make zero money off this, just so you know that. It was just something we came up with, and just help him out. He's a small business, and so he came up with the braid, and I think it's actually really, really good. But it's Cat Daddy's planer boards. It's I have a discount code, but I can't remember it. So if you want to hop on into one of my videos and look in the description section, I do have a discount code for them. But it's really good stuff. I've been using it here lately. We're working on some other colors because, to be honest with you, this is the camouflage, and it looks cool, looks awesome. Man, pretty tough to see in low light conditions. Like early in the morning, late in the evening, it's kind of tough to see. So we're gonna mess around with some different colors, get some brighter colors and stuff like that. Same braid, but it'll just be different colors.
That's cool. Jess said it feels good for him just to be able to pull an all-dayer anymore.
Yeah. So I used to do this stuff all the time, but I mean, age catches up with you. And Lord, did it catch up with me today? I got home and sat on the couch and I couldn't get back up. It's like, man, where did the time go? I used to do this stuff, I'd go out and fish 2, 3, 4 days in a row, like fish camp, fish camp, so I don't know, but it was fun. It was fun. I think more so it was fun because it was just me and my dog. I think that was it. I said, I didn't even look. I think I touched my cell phone probably 6 times in 36 hours. So, and that was just to check the time and text my wife. That was it.
I was really surprised. I was really surprised you answered me because I saw that you were fishing, and I just wanted to make sure we were still good for tonight.
Well, that was slightly more important, because because I want to, try to hold my end of the obligation or times, so to speak. So, but no, that's cool though. I'm glad I had an opportunity to come on here because now I learned a little something about y'all's tournament, and I really hope. What did you say you had 40 last year?
41. Yep.
Or 41 last year?
Yeah, we're like 5 away from eating that. So.
We need to get like 60. I think 60 would be good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and grow it every year. That's our goal.
Yeah.
And it still amazes me, like when we go out, because doing this, I've learned a lot about veterans and like just their mental state and what they're dealing with, from our government and the agencies not doing anything. Mm-hmm. And so if we're out and I see a veteran's hat or a veteran's shirt, we go start a conversation. And so many of them don't know that stuff like this exists. So it's really important to me to just be able to reach out to people and let them know.
Yeah. And I will tell you this too. You said you just randomly see them somewhere and then you start up a conversation. I really wish more people would do that. And I'm not saying like walk up to them and, be assertive or assert yourself to a conversation, but it's like, hey man, where do you serve? Or, hey man, whatever. Or, hey, my name's so-and-so. How are you doing? I seen you was in the military. You would be amazed at how far that goes. And I'm not even saying you'll end up as best buds or nothing like that, but there's a lot of times, and I've ran across this. I wish we had a whole other hour for this podcast, but I ran across this so many times that, me, myself, but back when I was down and out, man, and I ain't gonna lie. I haven't held any of this back, but when I was depressed, when I was, all these things from all the stuff that I dealt with, through my military career. But it just, somebody just come up, it's like, hey, thank you for your service, which is kind of, as a veteran, you're kind of like, okay, cool, whatever, but if you think about it, you're kind of like, okay, well, at least this person kind of gave a crap, you know what I mean, to even go out of their way to do it. And it's just little gestures. And I'm not saying you got to, take them out to dinner, give them a bunch of money or nothing like that. Just, just say, hey, man, you're not forgotten. We're here with you. I seen, because I do that for, myself today. I'll run across somebody and, wearing a Vietnam veterans hat or something like that. I mean, we're 2 different generations, so, I mean, they're going to be like, oh, well, we were, whatever. No, they're nothing like that. It's, it's obviously a brotherhood, sisterhood, however you want to look at it, that you gotta maintain it because it never goes away. It never goes away here for a fact.
Yeah.
So you have to always, if you get the opportunity, do it. I've done it, and it saves lives. I promise you that it saves lives.
Yes.
I can't put it no easy. I can't put it no broader than that. It definitely saves lives.
What branch did you serve in?
21 years in the Army.
Jamie said, thank you for your service.
Well, I appreciate that.
But yeah, we, so after our event last year, the reason that I pushed for it so hard this year to bring it back, and Southern Ohio is one of those areas where there's not a lot going on, the plants and stuff have shut down, the stores, these little river towns are almost non-existent. but we love
Man,
this area.
we've seen it. Ain't that where they got the Mall of America? Or that big mall? Is it what's outside of Cincinnati? In Cincinnati?
Oh my gosh, yes, I've been seeing. That's where I'm from. Oh my gosh, what is it called?
Man, we went there. I was in
almost gone.
Yeah, I was in Lexington, Kentucky, and we decided to take a trip up there to see this great big mall. I was just amazed at how many. Yeah, I was amazed at how many places were not open. Like it was just, terrible.
Yeah. So we, like I said, our campers down there. That's where we camp. We just love that area. And after our event last year, I had 4 different individuals reach out to me and tell me that our event saved their life. And one of them is very, very close to us. And, we've gotten to know each other very well. We would do anything for him. And he has shared his story on multiple platforms. And it still brings me to tears listening to him talk about it in the place that he was at before he found this. So it is so very important that we do things like this for our veterans.
Yeah, I've even done it just something as simple as a Facebook comment that I've gotten, and what it ended up being was somebody just trying to reach out for somebody to, excuse my French, but to just give a shit,
Yes.
And when I responded back, they were like, "Oh my God, you responded back to me." It's like, well, I'm nobody special, man. I said, I've been there, done that, got it. So, and I've had a few people say that to me too. It's like, just that simple conversation, saved my life, whatever. And I just encourage, military or not, it doesn't matter. I just encourage, and I'm not even saying go seek out a veteran. I'm talking about somebody within your family, somebody, your next door neighbor, anybody, because the veterans, we focus on that, but everybody's dealing with something every day. And it's nothing to go up and, hey, how are you doing today? It takes nothing, a little effort.
Yep.
I think it's like 4 or 5, it's like 4 or 5 cheek movements and you've got a conversation started. So I don't know. It's just something I've always thought about. And now that like I said, now that I'm not going to say the recovery side because I still deal with a lot of stuff myself, but I'm able to take a step back and look at it. Granted, I've got, I see therapists and stuff like that, but I have a way to cope with things now in my life that I can now hopefully show others, maybe some small glimpse of, hey man, there's hope. There's definitely hope because if I can't count enough on both my hands how many friends I've lost, not because of the war or not in the wars, but after. And it kills me. It kills me to hear it. And it kills me to see it, kills me to know about it. But something like the story you were talking about, just something as simple as that, saves lives. It don't take much.
Nope.
I don't know. I guess if there was ever a soapbox I'm going to stand on, by God, I'm going to stand on that one.
So real quick, your hat, do you know what they do with that hat, the proceeds from their hat that you're wearing?
Okay. So, not really 100% yet. But I'm not going to get ahead of the game here, but we are, Wet Outdoors, which I'm as far as that goes, I'm kind of an affiliate with them guys. I kind of sit with, Anthony and them. You could probably expound more on the hat part. I'm in the dark as far as that goes, but I know that we're coming up with something here in the future. Hopefully later this year, that we will see something pretty neat. I think I hope more companies kind of take this as a model. What we're thinking about doing or talked about doing. We haven't really, the thinking stage is going on right now. The talk has already happened.
Yeah. So their veteran hat that Micka is wearing, they take, I believe it's $22 on their website, and they take 22% of every hat they sell, and it goes towards different veteran organizations, whether it be Catfish for Heroes, Operation Vets with Nets, all of the different veteran organizations, they donate to them. And we really appreciate all of them at Wet Outdoors for all that they do for our veterans. I know Steve is a veteran, Anthony's a veteran, Johnny is a veteran. So we really appreciate those guys. They're all really great people. So be sure to check out their website too. I think they already have some of their veteran support stuff up. I've seen Anthony.
They do. They do
share it. So we really appreciate that.
Definitely a good group there.
Yep.
Yeah, I was glad to hop on board with them. I, talked with them. Actually ran into them at CatCon of all places, which I guess that's where you go to rub elbows and make contacts. But yeah, I left there and I was 100% in. And dang it, sorry. And so, but like I said, once we hopped on, we started talking about things. We're gonna take this and we're gonna hopefully just do more with it. I'll just say that.
Good. Well, that's exciting. We'll be looking for that.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't have any more comments coming in, I know Mike is ready for bed. He's ready to get some rest so he can get back to fishing.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate you. And if in the future you ever want to hop on and talk more about, veterans or anything else, we'd love to have you when you make the time.
Yeah, you just like I said, you just keep in touch. Let me know when you kind of get to a point where you want to have a conversation like that, because honestly, I could talk about this forever, because here in the state of Tennessee, I do a lot with the Army National Guard, the Army or the Air Force Reserves, the Air Guard here, stuff like that, as far as like when they have their drill weekends, what do they call them? Going up there and talking with them, talk about suicide prevention. It's usually during that training period. And so it's like I said, it's kind of a, because again, I was on that side, right? I was on that side of it. And like I said, look at me now. And I'm not saying that can be everybody, but it could be most. And if we could save one life, it's worth it. It's worth every dime, effort, whatever you put into it to do it. So I'm very passionate about that. So that's why I cling to people, organizations, companies, stuff like that. That's their, I'm not going to say main focus, but that is a focus. And I will promote them to no end. That's a fact. But then there's a point where you've got to take some of it into your own hands. And that's what I do here locally, because we really don't have nothing here locally outside of kind of what we scrape together here, there, and everywhere. But for the most part, everybody's got to do something. And, and that goes back to even not just veterans. I'm just talking, suicide rate's outrageous right now. And it could be prevented. A lot of it could be prevented with a very simple, what we just talked about.
Yep.
just start a conversation. Start a conversation. But yes, I would absolutely love to do that. I would, like I said, I'm very passionate about this. Considering I spend most of my time either typing, talking, or videoing for other people's organizations, stuff like that. So, anytime you want to have that conversation, I'd be more than happy to come back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like veteran awareness, suicide awareness with veterans is kind of like conservation. Everybody knows it's an issue and knows that we need to do something about it, but they're not willing to take the time to do it. So,
and that's a sad truth, and the reason is because it's not convenient, right?
Yeah.
So, if it was convenient, everybody would do it. But the hard truth is never convenient. The hardest things you've ever done in your life have never been convenient. So you have to look at it that way, and then if you look at it as it's not your life, right? It's not your life. You're thinking about it at that particular moment. It's your buddies, it's your neighbors, it's your, I don't know, family member. It's things like that. What if you were in that situation? Would you still not say nothing? Would you still not, do anything? That's kind of how I've always looked at it. And I don't mean to make that sound like crude or, mean. I don't mean to make it sound like that, but it's because it's not convenient is the reason why it has to be done. You know what I mean? So, because if it was convenient, then we wouldn't have a problem. But it's not convenient, because a lot of these people, a lot of these dudes that I've talked to, and I'm going to say, and female veterans too that I've talked to, they're stubborn, man. They're stubborn, and I get it. I was there. I was the same way. I don't need no stinking help. Who are you? I don't need none of this crap. but now that I've gotten it, now that I've experienced it, now that I've, been through it all, it's just kind of like, wow, there was so much stuff that I did not have to deal with, and, so I try to spread that, along with that, try to spread the love of God and everything else, because all that helps, all that's part of it. So if we can have that conversation, I'm sorry, I know you guys are done 10 minutes ago, but
no, you're fine. You're absolutely fine.
This is something that it touches home. Like I said, I've had some really good friends of mine that we went through some tough times together just to come home, and then they lost the battle. It's tough. And me myself, about probably 15 years ago, if it wasn't for my wife, we probably wouldn't be talking. So it's one of them things. It really touches. It's really, really serious and weighs really heavy on my heart. To where, if I could move mountains, by God, I'd do it. Right now, I'm just moving anthills. But
keep planting the seed, because that's what we're called to do too. I'm glad you brought that up.
Fact. That's a fact.
We're not supposed to change people, but planting the seed is the first step, and God can change people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that is a fact. I live by that every day.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask my son that. He'd probably tell you exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yep. That's awesome.
And I know, like, some of the veterans that we know, like, that we've gotten close to, until they really, like, trust you and, like, get to know you, they don't really open up to you. Well, and they're struggling. They're struggling silently, and that's the worst part about it. Like, they're trying to deal with it all on their own.
The thing is, when it comes to stuff like that, I was the exact same way, because if you were never a veteran, you might as well not even come in my same zip code at that point. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to say, because like I'm not holding it back, but when I talk to my therapist, she's never been in the military. She don't know nothing about the military. The only thing she knows is she's got me and one other veteran that she talks to, right? So when we talk, like when I first started seeing her, I'm like, no, I probably need somebody else, like at least somebody that was in the military, because then we can relate, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I found that it's really, is it any better? Maybe not, but is it any worse? Absolutely not. Like, I mean, just the fact that I can explain stuff to somebody that's never been in the military is actually a way to kind of reflect, not so much relive, but reflect and try to compartmentalize everything that happened during that time, and just break it down into scenarios or situations or small, compact thoughts that I can handle. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to deal with all of it all at one time, now I have a way I can break this down, break that down, break this down. And so it does help. And I got what you're saying. Yeah, the whole trust thing, that's a huge issue, because you just never know. And of course, today's society doesn't help. But yeah, trust is a huge issue. If you can break that, if you can break into that, then there you go. Just obviously never break the trust. That's
right.
Probably a good idea.
Yep.
Absolutely.
The site that we were talking about, I'm not sure if this is the question that Clarence was asking, but his hat is from Wet Outdoors. Julie, it's just www.wet, isn't it?
It is wetoutdoorgear.com.
Yeah.
I'll put it in here.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap things up here. Micah, thank you so very much for hopping on here with us. I know it's been a long couple of days for you, but we really appreciate you, and I will be in touch with you, and we'll set something up to do a little longer one and talk about our veterans and what we can do.
Absolutely. For them. I would be more than happy to hop on.
That'd be great.
That would be great. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next week. Be safe at the Sea Arc tournament.
Yes.